Hello everybody, my name is Jenna and today I'm doing my August wrap up and my September TBR. And I'm going to be doing it kind of quickly because the light was amazing when I got home and now it's kind of not there anymore, which is kind of why I look a little bit blue-ish, I think. I don't really know. In August, I finally had a good reading month. It was amazing. Okay, so I finished 2 books that I had started in previous months. I read 2 short stories and I ended up reading 3 novels and finishing an audiobook. So altogether 8 books, which is incredible. And I am so proud of myself. And I dropped my phone. Oh dear, this is not going well. So basically, thanks to university, I don't get a chance to film during the day anymore, which is of course when it is bright. But we are almost into daylight savings, which means that I'm going to be able to film when I get home from uni, and I'm finally going to be able to get more videos out, and I'm so excited about it. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about the books that I read in August and the books I'm planning on reading in September. So first up, this month I finished Song of the Current by Sarah Tolkser. This book was the this book was the YA Circle Book Club's August book of the month. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go to the meeting, which very much sucks. So I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars because it is a pirate kind of adventure, except it doesn't really involve pirates. I mean, there are pirates in it, but it doesn't really involve pirates, but basically it does take place on a river and like with a boat. So I'm kind of counting it as a pirate book, and I loved it. Oh my goodness. It was so good. It was so much fun. This book has so much going for it, and I absolutely adore it. I know a lot of people are having a lot of trouble rating this one because it is very heavy on the sailor lingo, so there was a lot of stuff that I just kind of glossed over because I wasn't interested. Well, I was interested in it, but it wasn't really a point for me to read it. So I kind of skipped over a lot of that, and I did guess a lot of the plot. A lot of this plot was very cliched, but it was still really fun and enjoyable, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I then finally finished a book that took me 2 months to read, so you can tell that I was super into it, and that is Begin and Begin, a #Lovers YA anthology edited by Daniel Binks and contributed to by a bunch of lovely Australian authors. Unfortunately, I wasn't super enamored with this book. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars, I think. Yeah, so 3 out of 5 stars, which was an average of all the stories overall. Most of them, for me, only rated like in the 2 to 4 star range, and I think the majority of them were 3 or 2 stars. I am not a huge fan of contemporary novels, and this anthology, I just didn't find it very compelling, and it didn't make me want to read it, and it's a shame because I love the fact that it's #LoveAusYA. We definitely need more Australian YA novels, but this one just wasn't the one for me. Next up, I read the short story of The Murders in the Rue Morgue by Edgar Allan Poe, and I have never felt so cheated by a story in my entire life, okay? This is a detective fiction story which I read for my crime fiction and film class at university, and I felt so cheated by the end of it when I found out who the murderer was. I was like, I'm sorry, what? No, that's just, you don't do that in a detective movie. You just don't do it. I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars simply because it is like the first, or arguably it is the first crime fiction short story that kind of ever made its way onto the scene, and for that reason I think that it is definitely historically a really important short story, and also Poe is definitely what I would consider it's just a genius, and you are left guessing right up until the very end, but once I found out who the culprit was, I was like, oh, I waited all this time for that. But yeah, I do think it was still a good short story, and I am glad that I read it. Next up, I read The Speckled Band by Arthur Conan Doyle. This is a Sherlock Holmes short story, and I loved it. This is the detective story that I have been waiting for. I read this one immediately after reading Murders in the Rue Morgue, and for me, it was so much better. I just thought the writing style was better, the narrative itself was better, and I could be just the tiniest little bit biased because I love Sherlock Holmes so much, but believe it or not, this is the first ever Sherlock Holmes story I've ever read. So reading it, I was just like, I need to know. Actually, my friend did kind of spoil the ending of that one, so I did know who the culprit was, so I spent the entire time putting things together, which was really awesome for me to be able to read. I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Next up was actually a reread for me, and believe it or not, I read it for my 21st century literature class at university, which is very strange, and that is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I adore this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, obviously, because it is such a good, groundbreaking novel that made me feel all of the feelings. Okay, I can't tell you how many times I have reread this novel or watched the movie, and I still cry at the reaping scene, like the first chapter. I still cry, and it's just not okay. I cried a hair handful of times rereading this book, and every time I was like, I don't understand why I'm crying, I know what's gonna happen, which is just a crazy thing, but it shows that Suzanne Collins' story is really moving and just so confronting that I cry no matter how many times I've read it. Next up is a book that I read for my crime fiction and film class, and that is The Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler. I was so super excited to finally pick this one up, and I have to say that it did not disappoint. So I ended up giving this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and although I am completely confused by what happened, in fact I'm still not entirely sure what happened in this novel, but I do know who the killer is, but there was one person who got killed that I have no idea, and apparently even Chandler himself doesn't know who got killed. I was like, okay, you'd think that would be the kind of thing that the author of a novel would know about his own novel, but apparently not. I am like 90% sure this was my first introduction to the hard-boiled crime genre, but like I recognize the formula. I don't know if it's because I watched like a lot of crime shows growing up, or if it's just because I just had seen it before. But either way, yeah, I recognize the formula, and so I was reading it going, I totally know what's going on, like it makes a lot of sense. The plot itself did not make any sense at all, and I've been told by my lecturer that that's a completely natural reaction to have to Chandler. Apparently most people just don't understand what is going on after you read the book, but it was a really, really good one, and I thoroughly enjoyed it, and because I'm not sure if I said it, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I then finished another audiobook this month. I'm continuing with my Harry Potter audiobook readathon long listening thing. So I finished Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which is by J.K. Rowling, read by Stephen Fry. Once again, 5 out of 5 stars, can't fault it, it was amazing. I have to say though, I was on my way home from work and I was listening to this audiobook, and it was the funeral like with Cedric, and I was crying. I was crying on my way home from work in the car, and I was the one driving, and I was like, why? Why J.K. Rowling? Why do you do this to me? Why? But yeah, so that happened, but it was good, and I cannot recommend these audiobooks enough to everybody. They are just so good. And last up, I have a book that I finished just a couple of hours ago, and I was so happy with myself for finishing it, and that is The Murder of Roger Ackroyd by Agatha Christie. This is another book that I read for my crime fiction and film class, and I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. I have just spent the past like week with my lecturer telling me, now don't worry if you don't guess the ending of Agatha Christie's novel, she's very good at that. She gives you enough information that you should be able to put it all together, but odds are you won't. Well, guess what? I guessed who the murderer was going to be within like the first 3 chapters of the novel. Yeah, the first 3 chapters. I don't know if it's because I just like made a random stab in the dark, but honestly the first thing that came to my head was I was like, I'll bet you anything it was this person. And then the more that I kept reading, the more I was eliminating other suspects and going, it has to be this person. This is the only person that makes sense to me. And guess what? It was that person. So I am really proud of myself for finishing that. This is my first ever Agatha Christie novel as well, so now I have to go and read another one, or at least like watch a movie or something, so that I can determine whether or not it was a fluke or whether I am just the master of detective fiction. And it's, you know, clearly it's the latter. So there you go, those are the 8 books that I managed to read in August, which is incredible and amazing, and I am so happy with that. It definitely put me ahead on my Goodreads reading challenge. I am pretty much all caught up with my university reads, which is even better, which is always, you know, something really good I'm really wanting to do. I had a really good month as well, like pretty much everything was a 3-star or above, so I am very happy with that. Now we're gonna move on to the books that I have to read in September, and I have a bit of a story behind the books that I have to read in September. The majority of them are, of course, university novels, because I am in university and I picked 3 really reading intensive topics, and I kind of regret it every day, but yeah, so those are in there. Then of course I've got the normal YA Circle Book Club book as well, and then I've got another 5 books on the TBR, which altogether I think it brings the number of books up to like 11 or something ridiculous. Yeah, 11 books that I want to read next month. Yeah, we're gonna see how that goes. But and there's a reason for it, and I'll tell you when we get to the ending. So the first book that I need to read this month is Island Home by Tim Winton. This is for my 21st century literature class. It is a memoir, which apparently takes like a little bit to read, but I've had my friend read it and she's like, Jenna, honestly I read it in a day, so I'm not really worried about it. I'm planning on reading it in a day. It's a really pretty cover though, I have to say. I'm really proud of this cover, but I have to write a short essay on it, so I can't just like read for pleasure. I have to read, you know, to write a short essay on it. Oh, and in case you didn't know, I have no no idea what it's about apart from that it's a memoir, so that's all you're finding out. Next up, I'm going to be reading Take 3 Girls by Kath Crowley, Simone Howell, and Fiona Wood. This is the September book for the YA Circle Book Club. I am so excited to get to read this one. It is again a #LoveOzYA novel. I didn't really know much about it, but then I got it home and I read the back of it, and it looks like it's about these 3 girls that team up to take down a cyberbullying website, which is, you know, amazing, and I love that. I really love that premise, so I'm actually really thoroughly excited to get to read this one. And I had like a quick look through it, and I think that each author wrote a different character because it's like in different, oh my god, wow. Sorry, I just saw a thing, but yeah, it's kind of written in different fonts, and then there's all these kind of internet pages in there as well, so it looks like a really fun read, and I'm really keen to read this one and then discuss it with all of my lovely book loving friends at the YA Circle. After that, I am reading The Secret River by Kate Grenville. I don't know if I'm actually going to read this book or not. It's a lot shorter than the other books that I have to read for creative writing. This one's for my creative writing class, and the other 2 books I haven't bothered to finish because we're not actually doing assignments on them. So I read about 100 pages. I read about 100 pages of Clan of the Cave Bear, and I'm gonna read 100 pages of Dead Man's Walk just to get a feel for the genre. So I might do the same thing with this one, but I'm more interested in this story than I am in the others. This story is about a guy who was in London and he got arrested, so he became a convict, sent down to Australia, and then it's kind of about like the early settlers and the differences that they have with the native Australians. So I am kind of interested in this one, so I might read it, but again, I also might not because I just have too much else to read that if I don't have to read this one, I won't be reading it. Then we have another book for my 21st century literature class, and that is The Arrival by Shaun Tan. This one is kind of difficult though. I don't know how I'm gonna read it because it's all pictures. It's completely all pictures. There is absolutely no writing in it at all. So it's not even really a graphic novel, it's just pictures. So I'm a little nervous about it, to be perfectly honest. I don't know how that's gonna go. And then I have to write a essay on this one as well, which sucks. Oh my god, I forgot. I also have to listen to a podcast for this class. Wow. Why do I pick such reading intensive topics? So I don't really know what this one is about, like at all, because of the fact that, you know, it's just got pictures, but I mean, it could be exciting, so let's give it a go. I then have The Talented Mr. Ripley by Patricia Highsmith for my crime fiction and film class. This one is, I believe, told from the point of view of the murderer, 90% sure, so I'm really excited to sort of get in the mindset, well, not excited to get in the mindset of a murderer, but I'm excited to read a book about that, which is super exciting. I am doing a short essay on this one as well, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's funny because all of the crime fiction novels that I've had to read so far for this topic, I was a bit iffy about, but honestly, they're kind of amazing and I'm really, really enjoying them. And then last, but certainly not least for my university books, is the New York Trilogy by Paul Auster. I don't know a lot about this one. All I know is that it is 3 books in one. I'm assuming they're set in New York, and they're crime novels, and they're really small print. Ugh. I need to stop buying mass market paperbacks. Although, hey, the first one's called City of Glass. No, that's making me want to reread Shadowhunter Chronicles so badly. No, that's a November thing. This is a September thing. Speaking of September things, so you all know that I have not read the Percy Jackson series. You all know this. I have said it on multiple occasions. I have not read Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Rick Riordan. I haven't done it. My friend found out and she goes, Jenna, you're reading the books. And I was like, okay, when am I gonna do that? So I don't know if it was I think it was late last year. She goes, all right, September 2017. You and I, we're gonna read all 5 Percy Jackson books. And I went, sure, why not? The reason why not is because I have so many other university books to read, but I didn't know that at the time, so I have agreed to read all 5 Percy Jackson books. These include Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse, Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth, and Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian. So let's be a little bit realistic here. As much as I desperately want to read these 5 books this month, I have so many other uni books that I actually have to read that I'm not sure that they're going to get read. But I have nothing to read in October, so they will definitely be read in October. Actually, I think a few of those books I could, because I don't know, I haven't really looked at like the timelines of when I have to read books, so a few of these I might actually be able to push back into October, which means I can definitely read these. These are the ones I actually want to read. I tell you a little bit about what they're about, but to be perfectly honest, I don't really know. All I know is that this guy, Percy, he is the son of Poseidon and is like a demigod, half-god sort of person, and goes to Camp Half-Blood, or did they call him Half-Bloods? I don't know. And he is in a lot of trouble because Zeus thinks that he stole his lightning bolt, but apparently he didn't. And yes, I'm getting a lot of that from the movie because I really enjoy the movie, because I haven't read read the books, so I'm assuming that's why I enjoy it. But I really enjoy the movie. Don't judge me. So there you have it. Those are the 8 books that I managed to finish in August and the 11 books that I am planning on reading in September. Please, someone, just help me, please. I'm begging you. Let me know in the comment section below what books you finished in August and what books you were planning on reading in September. I would love to know. Also, let me know if you have read any of these books at all, because I would be really excited to hear your thoughts. If you like this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Stay random. Bye.